I'm Suzanne Mumford, and I'm the head of nursing care and dementia services for Care UK. I also spent quite a lot of time looking after my parents, both of whom had neurological diseases. My mother had Alzheimer's disease and my father had Parkinson's disease. So I supported them in a care setting to end of life. Inevitably, the journey for any family member or any carer, whether it's a partner or a close friend, is a long one, usually with somebody living with dementia. And so you start preparing yourself as you work through that journey, and you're learning more and more about the condition, the different vagaries of that particular individual, and relating that to your own experience, but also starting to feel out and look at experiences from other people. By the time you get to somebody requiring more care, and that might be at home or it might be in a care home, lots of things have happened, lots of experiences have happened, and you've probably been through quite a lot of distress yourself. You may have given up quite a lot of things yourself, aspects of your life that you might have enjoyed in the past, you can't actually do now, or it's limited in what you can do. And so I think that there's this adaptation and growing to learn how to care for somebody is an enormous part of probably people's middle age. So particularly the research shows that predominantly women. And so we end up in this sort of feeling of needing to support, because actually I think most people want to look after a person, when they're deteriorating, but not everybody knows how to, and they don't always know what support they can get for that, and it depends on their relationship. So I continued working, and my parents are very proud of what I do and how I do it, and they wanted me to continue working. They didn't really want to be a burden on my life. But as things progressed, so they needed more and more attention. And at that point, they were starting to lose that insight into what that actually meant for somebody else providing care. And then you also have that other element of siblings or partners in the background, who perhaps don't understand that sense of that bond that you have, and that feeling of needing to do something, or the sense of guilt that you might have when you're supporting somebody. And so I suppose it's guilt and fear, because what you don't want is that person to become injured or to have less of a life than they already have. And we can see it's progressive number of losses that the person's experiencing, and trying to adapt and accommodate and perhaps make those losses less difficult for the person to live with. I suppose the guilt side of things is the one that's the most emotive. It's the one that you feel you should be doing more. You feel you should almost give up your own life because they've given you so much in the past, and that you should give up your life to look after them. And I think a lot of people feel that they should just dedicate their lives to that person. And then there's a real risk of burnout and deteriorating relationships in your own life, and almost bearing a grudge against your own relative because suddenly they've taken away part of your life. In terms of moving forward, as you progress, then you start looking at, well, what support is there out there for me, whether it's home care or whether it's going into a care home, whether it's having respite, whether it's building a family support network around to actually be able to provide that. And everybody's situation is different, and everybody's ability to cope is different. So that element of really being honest with yourself and saying, what can I cope with and what can't I cope with, and how am I going to manage, and having very open and truthful conversations with the person living with dementia, so that you're always constantly sort of finding out what they would want, how they want it, but also balancing that with your own feelings and emotions. I think one of the things that people find very difficult is having a conversation about a transition perhaps into a care home, or transition into having care within their own home. And we often lose sight of the fact that our parents in particular, but siblings as well, are wired to each other's emotions. And it's a hard wiring to people's emotions. So they know when we're not telling the truth. They know when we're deeply upset. They know when we're angry, even though, facially we're trying not to show that, and we're trying to control our body language. They know it because they know us so well. And equally, we know that the other side. So we have that balance. So I think having open and honest conversations, even if a person's saying, no, I don't want to do that, they will see how much it's damaging you. If you're progressively getting more and more tired and you're short-tempered and you're really struggling, they will see that. And I think, there isn't a parent out there who wants to see their child struggle, or a partner that wants to see their partner struggle. But it's the enormity of what's going on in their own brain that's making them far more insular, far less able to accommodate that information, translate it in a logical way that works in partnership. And that's probably one of the hardest things to accommodate. And I know, from my own parents' perspective, we had lots and lots of those conversations. And even once they'd gone into a care home, sort of just talking through, well, this is why, this is how, this is, this is what I can do to support you, and how I might, sort of ease this transition and make it less of a situation that you don't want to be in. So I think, communication is all. It's very difficult, and some people don't always have that ability to have those sorts of communications. Suddenly they're pulled in because everybody else has disappeared. All of the friends, all of the close relations are finding it difficult to support an individual who's perhaps becoming very erratic in their behavior, or they're getting very repetitive, or they're becoming very demanding. So suddenly it feels as though you're very isolated at times. Learning to balance and learning to be able to say, actually, I need to take a deep breath. I need just to step out for a moment, get some fresh air, take a deep breath, and perhaps walk around a garden or walk around a park and come back. And just reframe things, because that's what you do when you're working with people living with dementia. Is there are times when actually you've got yourself into a circular conversation, or you've got yourself into a position where actually you just need to reframe. You just need to ground yourself and have conversations with people once you've taken a bit of a breather. And equally, the person living with dementia often needs that as well.